Hey everyone, we got some huge news for Luminar LAZR stock investors that investors need to know about. I'll review what this latest milestone means for investors in this innovative tech stock. So let's take a look right away.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, so the big news is a big milestone. Luminar achieves SOP, start of production for Volvo cars. This has been long in the making. It marks the first time in industry transitioning from research and development to standard on global production vehicles. And it kicks off the conversion of nearly 4 billion order backlog for Luminar. Those are going to start turning into revenue now that it's ready to start deliveries on this product for Volvo cars. So big news item. Let's take a look at the details. So one more item, that Swiss Re, a reinsurance company, released results of industry first efficacy tests for Luminar's LiDAR for vehicle safety, and they achieved nearly 27% reduction in accidents and 40% reduction in the severity of accidents for best performing camera and radar vehicles. That's a huge improvement, and if this data gets validated in more tests, that could be a big reason why vehicle original equipment manufacturers adopt LAZR's technology, Luminar's technology, because if they can boast this kind of improvement in performance, that can lead to an improvement in sales for themselves. So they can justify the higher expense putting this technology in their cars, because then they could sell their cars for higher prices, if not the least of which, because insurance costs will be lower, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video. So of course, if you're starting production, you've got to work with your manufacturing partners, and TPK expanded its partnership with Luminar to support the advanced industrialization, which is expected to significantly reduce costs and product development timelines. So this will get Luminar at scale. They're working with its partner, making sure they're on the same page, ready to start production and increase production, because it's time now for the company to move from research and development to mass production and generate revenue and generate sales. So like we mentioned at the top of the video, the company announced that it achieved the start of production for Volvo cars and begun delivering production LiDAR sensors for the Volvo EX90, which will be the first global production vehicle to feature and standardize this technology. As a result, Luminar now expects to ship multiple times more product in the second half of 2024 than it has in the prior 10 years, and accelerating from there. Wow, big news for Luminar. Congratulations to Luminar and Luminar stock investors. This is a big deal. Multiple times more revenue expected in the second half than in the prior 10 years. And not just that, but it's expected to accelerate from there. As we highlighted earlier, the company has a multi-billion-dollar backlog, and as soon as this data starts to get validated and they can prove the production process, and Volvo EX90 demonstrates the proof of concept, I wouldn't be surprised if Luminar gets wider adoption of its technology. Now, this is in stark contrast with what we've heard from Tesla. Remember, Tesla in the last few weeks has been really hyping up its full self-driving technology, and the company is taking a different strategy. They're not going with LiDAR and radar, they're just going with cameras. And so this is an interesting difference, and it's going to be interesting to see which one of these technologies ultimately wins out. Is it going to be the LiDAR radar systems, which could be more expensive but although have better technology? Or is it going to be the cameras, which can be easier to install, easier to implement more broadly, but they don't have the kind of technology LiDAR and radar do? Sometimes those camera systems don't work well when it's raining outside, when it's foggy, when there's mud or dust on them, and it needs to be operating in very pristine conditions in order to work properly, whereas LiDAR and radar have greater capabilities to operate in more variable circumstances. So I'm certainly interested in this technology. I'm hoping it works out. I'm hoping it gets broadly adopted. Either one. I don't have a horse in this race. I'm just hoping for this technology to be more broadly implemented. So the company unveiled its next generation LiDAR product as well, the Luminar Halo, which is being designed for mass adoption by mainstream consumer vehicles, not just the Volvo EX90, building off of Luminar's high performance 1515 nanometer architecture. The Halo will incorporate 4 next-generation breakthrough chip technologies from Luminar Semiconductor, which will enable a 4x improvement in performance, a 3x reduction in size, and a 2x improvement in thermal efficiency, and more than 2x improvement in cost. So huge improvements for this next-generation technology on the back of the widespread adoption and the start of production of its existing technology. So Luminar making strides, making huge progress on its developments. Now, I highlighted earlier I would talk a little bit more about insurance, and here's the benefits of this technology. So Luminar will leverage the safety study as an industry benchmark to launch a digital insurance product, which is expected to reduce the cost of insurance for car buyers of Luminar-equipped vehicles. Luminar expects to license to sell insurance in 13 states by the end of the year and plans to expand internationally starting next year. It makes sense, right? If you've got technology installed in the vehicle that makes the vehicle safer, it's getting into fewer accidents, and when it does get into an accident, it's not as severe because the technology is able to slow down the car before a collision or move the car in a way that reduces the severity of the collision before an accident. That makes the car safer. That makes the car enter into fewer accidents. And if you're an insurer, you'd be more willing to insure those cars, and you'd be willing to offer a discount to car buyers that have this technology installed in the vehicles. And so because you'll be able to save money on the insurance, consumers would be willing to pay a higher price for the car, right? If you can buy a car for $40,000 and that car is going to save you $100 per month on your insurance, that's $1,200 in savings per year. If you're keeping the car on average, let's say 5 years, that's a $6,000 savings on your insurance. So you're willing to pay a higher price for this car that's going to save you $6,000 on your insurance. You're not going to be willing to pay $6,000 more because that would take away all of the benefits from the cost savings, but you would be willing to pay maybe $1, $2, perhaps $3,000 more for a car that has this technology. And it's not just because you're going to save money on your insurance. Maybe you are willing to pay the full $6,000 because not only will you offset that $6,000 price tag on this technology by saving on insurance, but now your car is safer. And who doesn't want to drive in a safer car? If you've got kids, wouldn't you want your kids to be in a safer car? I know I would. So I would be willing to pay at least that much for this technology if it does prove to be as safety enhancing as initial studies show. So really good news for Luminar stock investors. Great news to be sure, and congratulations to those of you that have invested in Luminar stock. It looks like the company's poised to benefit from this technology. Did you know that over 90% of the people that watch my channel are not subscribed? It'll really help support my channel if you hit that subscribe button. And oh, by the way, one of the benefits of being subscribed is that I take requests from subscribers more often than I do from non-subscribers. So if you prefer that benefit, please subscribe to the channel.